Alright guys, so today you're going to need 4 different colored pencils. You can grab mine from the back, or if you have 4 of your favorite colors that you have in pens, or colored pencils of your own, or highlighters, or however you want to do it, you need 4 different colors. So today we're going to talk about parallel lines in a transversal. So the lines A and B are parallel to each other. That means they go on forever and ever without end, with ever touching. This line C here that cuts both of them is referred to as the transversal. When this happens, you have 8 angles that are formed that cuts through the parallel lines. So one specific type of angle created are called corresponding angles. These angles are in the same location. That means that if I go ahead and if I were to cut this in half between my 2 parallel lines, this group of 4 would sit right on top of this group of 4. So we're going to color some angles today. That's not what I want. So one set of corresponding angles is angle 1 and angle 5. So something that I want to point out about 1 and 5 is they're congruent. So that means they are the same or they're equal. 2 and 6 are another example of corresponding angles. Three and 7, and lastly 4 and 6. So all of those colors that match up to each other are equal or congruent. Alternate interior angles are kind of like what they sound like. Alternate is opposite. They're found on the opposite side of the transversal inside the 2 parallel lines. So if I look here at this picture, I'm going to move this guy up. We're looking between my parallels, so we're going to be inside between A and B. So we're going to use these 4 angles. We're going to be on opposite sides, and I see that these are congruent, so they're going to be equal. So angle 3 is on the inside between my 2 parallels, and that is equal to angle 6 because they're on the opposite side of that transversal. Likewise, angle 4 is on the inside between my parallels, and is on the opposite side to angle 5, so those guys are equal. Alternate exterior. So this is the same kind of idea, only instead of being inside, they're going to be outside. These are also congruent. So angle 1 is equal to angle 8, and angle 2 is equal to angle 7. They're on the opposite sides of my transversal, and they're on the outside of my parallel lines. Same side interior. They're on the inside of my parallel lines, so say 3 and 5. But these ones are supplementary. That means that angle 3 plus angle 5 will give me 180 degrees. Likewise, angle 4 and angle 6. So angle 4 plus angle 6 will also add to 180 degrees. Same side exterior angles, just kind of like what they sound like. Angle 2 is on the outside, and so is angle 8. They're on the same side, and these are also supplementary. So angle 2 plus angle 8 would be 180. Next, we have angle 1 and we have angle 7 because they're on the same side outside. So angle 1 plus angle 7 will be 180. Oops, I didn't realize you guys can't see that one. Sorry. Vertical angles are found in the X. They're formed by the transversal in one of the parallels. These guys are congruent. So that means angle 1 and angle 4 are across from each other in my X, and they're equal. Likewise, angle 2 and angle 3. Those are also equal. If I go back a couple slides for a second to my corresponding, notice how angle 1 was equal to angle 5 down here, because they're corresponding, right? So if I use angle 1 as purple, I'm going to say angle 5 is also purple, because this is equal to then angle 8. So those 4 angles are going to be equal to each other because they're in corresponding parts. Likewise, angle 6 will be equal to angle 7. So I only really need 2 values here to determine all of my different angles, but we need to know what all is equal to each other. So that's why I like this picture, because it helps me see all the equal pieces. Adjacent angles are angles that are next to each other. There are 8 different pairs. These guys are also supplementary. That means they add to 180. So let's take a look at some adjacent ones. Hold on, I'm fixing my computer because I keep hitting it against something. So if we look at some adjacent ones, angle 1 is adjacent to angle 2, and they're equal to 180. And angle 1 is also adjacent, to angle 3, and those equal 180. I want you to see if you can list all of the adjacent pairs of angles. I already did 1 and 2 and 1 and 3. Go ahead and pause the video and catch up with me. Why has that got a square on there? For some reason, this doesn't want to work with me today. Here we go. Oops. There are all of your pairs of adjacent angles. 2 and 4. 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 6 and 8, 8 and 7, 7 and 5. Okay, so let's take a look at what we just learned to determine all of the rest of the missing angles. So I'm aware that, I'm told that angle 3, which is over here, is 57 degrees. Now, when I do these different problems, I am essentially, when I'm doing the same problem in 1, where's the thing I'm going to put this? I'm essentially saying that this side of my parallel with the transversal has nothing to do with this side of the parallel. So essentially, until I'm finished with this left side here, I'm going to keep that right side covered up because it's not going to help me. So I'm going to find the rest of my red pieces. So if I look back at that one slide, my vertical angles, it shows me all of those colored pieces. So my angle 3, I believe it was, which I just found was, which they just told me was 37, would have to be in all of the 57 pieces that are also red. So that means angle 2 is 57 degrees. Angle 6 is 57 degrees. And angle 7 is 57 degrees. So let's look at finding angle 1. Well, angle 1 and angle 2 are adjacent. If they're adjacent, they add together to give me 180. So that means that 180 minus 57 will give me the answer to angle 1. I don't know this off the top of my head. And apparently I didn't bring home my answer key. So we gotta get out the calculator. Which gives me 123. That's what I thought, but I wasn't sure. So if this is 123, angle 4 has to be 123. Angle 5 has to be 123. And angle 8 have to be 123. I said 8 and wrote 8. So let's go ahead and now find this other half. So angle 15 is 112. What else has to be 112? We'll take a look. If 15 is roughly in the same spot as 7, it'll be in the same spot as all my red ones. And this time we're going to use blue. So that means angle 14 is 112 because they're vertical. 11 would be 112 because 11 and 15 are corresponding. And 14 and 11 are alternate interior. And then 10 would have to be 112 because 11 and 12 are vertical. 10 and 14 are corresponding. 10 and 15 are alternate exterior. I think those are all the different ways. So then likewise, to find 9, 12, 13, and 16, we're going to take 180 minus 112, which gives me 68. So that means all these other answers, or angles, excuse me, are 68 degrees. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to use that stuff to determine the value of x's, because just like everything in math, we solve for x. So if 3 is 120 degrees, and angle 7 is 6x, oh, come on, plus 36. I don't know why it keeps doing this on me. What is the value of x? Well, what do I notice about angle 3 and angle 7? Are they equal? Or do they add to 180? They're equal. They're in the same spot. They're corresponding. So it means that 120 must be equal to 6x plus 36. So we're going to go ahead and subtract that 36. Which gives me 84. So I have 84 is equal to 6x. Divide both sides by 6. X is equal to 14. So let's do the same thing here. angle 2 is 134. And angle 7 is 11x minus 31. So the million-dollar question is, are these two angles equal, or do they add to 180? They're equal. They're alternate exterior, so they're on opposite sides, so therefore they're equal. They're opposite sides and they're on the outside, so those are equal pieces. So 134 equals 11x minus 31. I'm going to add 31. So I have 134 plus 31, which gives me 165. Divide both sides by 11. X is equal to 15. All right, that's all I have for you. See you tomorrow.